Okay, for the contemporary world background reading, pros and cons of free trade with NAFTA. Free trade allowed for a significant boost in the economy. Economies were growing at a fast pace. Consumers had an increased choice and lower prices, and nations were cooperating consistently across the globe. NAFTA, or the North American Free Trade Agreement, was an example of the cooperation among nations. The agreement was a deal between the United States, Canada, and Mexico that was created in 1994. The main idea behind NAFTA is that tariffs would be significantly reduced for these three nations, allowing products to be sent free and smoothly amongst them. The agreement was successful as consumer goods decreased in price, but it did hurt American citizens and businesses. Many companies moved their production facilities to Mexico, where labor was cheaper, and then paid the little to no tariffs on the products, resulting in Americans losing their jobs. Some industrial areas exhibited an economic decline, and free trade can have negative effects worldwide. If a nation relies heavily on the products from another, then they may not be able to support their own economy if a crisis occurred or that nation shut down for whatever reason. Environmental degradation. The nations who advocate the most for environmentalism are traditionally the nations that have the greatest environmental impact. Nations like the U.S. and developed countries in Europe have continued to express concerns with the environment, specifically focusing on the Amazon rainforest. Expansion of cattle ranching and farming in the Amazon River basin have caused mass deforestation in the Amazon. CO2 is created when the trees are being cut down, and cattle farms produce mass amounts of methane, both of which contribute to global warming significantly. Climate change, loss of biodiversity, and pollution are all environmental effects that come with industrialization and development of society. I believe that we should not require new nations to focus solely on sustainability, but there should be more effort put in to slow down the pollution. Industrialization will come with environmental effects that really can't change, but unlike the industrialization of the US and Europe, we now know what effects it can have on the planet and specific steps we can take to slow down and help that process. Moving on to computers and the internet. Overall, the use of computers and technology on the internet has made our lives better. The internet allows access to any information you want across a wide range of nearly every topic. People can also communicate with family members or friends across the globe with just the click of a few buttons. Education and businesses have improved because citizens have access to not only the things from our country, but the ideas and products of companies worldwide. Social media can also be used for communication and connections across the globe. The internet has created more opportunities than ever before. Unfortunately, the internet also has severe drawbacks. Censorship in information and apps being used for surveillance have decreased people's trust of the internet. Misinformation also creates problems as people are persuaded by false or incorrect information. So that transitions into the segment about negative consequences of the internet. Allowing the internet to be accessed so easily has caused many issues for society. Many people rely exclusively on social media to gain their information and knowledge of what is happening around the world. This means that misinformation and fake ideas can be spread just as easily as true information can. Hate speech and extremist ideas can also be spread throughout social media. This can cause people across the world to have a prejudice towards a certain idea or individual without any real true knowledge to it. Even the government can use social media to manipulate or censor information. This is a way of mind control which is used to control and influence citizens politically. These negative effects can be solved by more restrictions put on social media and false information. Laws against abuse of social media and the spread of misinformation can be enforced to allow social media to be an overall safer and truer environment. And then medical. Globalization helps connect all nations on the globe into one streamlined interconnectedness. Despite best efforts to make every nation equal with the same level of wealth and industrialization, many underdeveloped nations fall behind in many ways that people in developed countries, like the United States, take for granted. One of the areas where many nations fall behind is in medical breakthroughs. The advancements of vaccines, transplants, and treatments for specific diseases are widely available in developed countries, like the US, but others are not so lucky. And developing nations lack the resources needed to access and administer these innovations, resulting in deaths and sickness across the nation. An example would be the COVID-19 pandemic, when places like the US were able to get vaccines fairly quickly. Other less developed nations were not able to receive many vaccines, causing an older generation of people to die due to their unavailability. Thank you.